Goodness me, it's slow. Right. Evening, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for attending. As we said initially, that we are going to look at the qualitative analysis today. And as you can recall, in the previous week, we had those, or the previous time we met each other, we had those breakaway groups. I just want to put up one of those interviews in terms of the breakaway groups. So hopefully at this point, your transcripts are looking like this. I'm also secretly hoping that everyone has done all their interviews and are, in fact, busy analyzing, busy coding rather than transcribing. Who still has interviews outstanding? And who's not done their transcriptions yet? Their transcripts? Yeah, well, that's good news. Okay, so people have started coding. So I think for me, when I do my coding, there are multiple ways of doing it. One of the ways is to use this. Now, again, you can do your own approach. I mean, but so if I had to go and look, and sorry, I've now placed that in the wrong spot. So okay, so if I had to do this and do my coding, I would do still in the wrong spot. Sorry, I'm irritating the Hebe sharing the screen again because I'm asleep again. Thank you, Neil. That's become your job, boy. Is telling me to share my screen because I'm half asleep most of my life. Yeah, I don't know where my cappuccino is, and I think that might be causing my brain fade. I'm shouting at my wife. So, okay. So what I would do is in starting my coding. So I would have as my first code, and it doesn't really matter, but I would have team cohesion and and communication challenges. And it's cheating a little bit. And then I would go through in terms of we had those spontaneous moments. Again, so for me is I just want to put this here. Sorry, I need to do that. My apologies. So for me, the next one that I would look at here, and again, this is a very personal experience, but I quite like this. For me, that would be, and we'll refine these. And then just in terms of that, so in terms of online, I think is the fact that so the one challenge online, I might have misspelled spontaneity, and then the one is so now again, this is a very personal thing. Any comments about those? So those are what I would have as my initial codes. Now, I would normally try and as I've explained previously, I would have this information pasted onto post-it notes so that initially I have all my codes, well, the broad codes. I mean, we can always make them a little bit better than that. Any comments on that as an initial coding thing? So to use this and to then create your initial codes doing that. Now, we can certainly improve the wording there. Any comments on that? And that to me is what I would then have on my initial post-it notes. All these codes for each of these on my initial post-it notes, which again, once we've done all of this, try and get these printed or copied, and printed. Can I ask how you've done your initial coding? Because this works for me. This works for me. It's very quiet. I think I might be confusing people, or this is a bad way of doing it. Yeah. So I'm Yanta. She can use to get. I'm not a big fan of to get or any of those, simply because uh it places a distance between myself as the researcher and the actual information. Remember, this is a very personal experience. So for researchers, yeah, it's on Word. It's new comments on Word. So just go into Word, go into review. It's new comment. So I'm not a big fan of to get, because to get almost becomes quantitative in nature. I have no issue to use to get to go and verify as a triangulation thing. Yeah, and so for me, I hate that, and Paula and I will never agree on that. And also, I think she's more quantitative in orientation, where I'm definitely more qualitative in orientation. So if we have to stick this into to get, okay, Control C, and let's see what it says. Now I've got it down. Have you got it downloaded, Nyanta? That's fine, but you're most welcome to do that, Neil. So you can even do that. But the initial getting it onto and starting to create your initial categories, and labeling those initial codes. I think for me, I still like the idea of the post-it note. Can I ask, Nyanta, that you shove this bit into to get and tell me what it gives you? And it obviously will need this here, as guidance.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it, Nyanta.
So with that tool that Paula said we can
Yeah.
use, basically you put all your transcripts, like you transfer it onto Taget, and then you have to highlight each and every single code for yourself, basically. So it's basically got all the transcripts stored, but when it
So
comes
it's
to
literally
basically
what I do in
identifying,
Word, because Paula also has
yeah, it's about
some
the
that
same.
it will do the coding for you.
No,
So
no,
that's
no.
so
So
to get
you
doesn't do the coding for you. Okay.
No, no, no. So you highlight
Okay.
specifically what you would think the code is, but it just stores it there for you.
Okay. Okay. So for me, but again, it's completely up to you. If that works for you, then you want to absolutely do that. Maybe I don't know enough about to get. I just think, again, for me, qualitative research is a very personal experience. No, not at all. So, okay, so if we go here, and so all you have to do is you need to put your cursor where it essentially you want your code pasted. So already I can see here proactive and structured. And I would, again, simply use this here, Control C. So I would almost give that the same code, because that really is saying the same thing for me. So again, instead of waiting for people I start scheduling regular one-to-one brief check-ins, and everyone in the team, flippin' hell. Sorry, didn't move the cursor. And then, yeah, so for me, the code there is brief, one on one, um, I don't know how many spelling errors there are there, but so that would be for me what I would put there. So it's not, and then also there, um, fired, idiot. So for me, that's how my initial analysis would be. I would then cut this stuff out, stick it on post-it notes, and then start putting things that logically belong together, and then I'll create a code to label that. And then obviously we'll then start adding those different codes into categories, and then the categories into themes. So I don't know if that makes sense, Kristen. Guys, is this not the way you are doing it? I'm not the best person on to get, so let's quickly see oh, no, I'm not going to try and do that now. You can try and figure that out yourself. So I'm going through it line by line, and creating general codes. But you'll see already, I can see that that is going to be one of the main codes that will come through. But you'll logically put these together. Um, yes, absolutely. Okay. Sorry, guys, is this not making sense whatsoever? So again,
I think it's making sense.
okay, well, so and I'll just keep doing that. Okay. Okay. And then you can see there, that to me is, um, look what I go and do, ice. Yeah, you can see I'm doing ice stars today. And those are my initial codes, guys, for that. You might be a little bit better in terms of your labeling. Okay. Sorry, and I'm going to ask individually, Nyanta, does this make sense as a process to you in terms of the initial codes?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. Carla, any comments from your side? How were you doing it? Anyone want to comment on this as a process? I know, Carla, your mic doesn't work. Or anyone want to comment on this as a process? Is anyone doing it in a similar way? Now, you don't have to use these bits and pieces. This is now the practicality, which you would have normally have done with I suppose, with your supervisor. But yeah. Okay, so we can see here there's another new new code coming up. Importance of trust and okay, so I mean all of that is the importance of trust. Okay, and then here we've got a new one here. I mean, I quite like that idea of independent and accountability. That's fantastic, Carla. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for me, these are the initial codes. So I think this is I would have two codes there. Clear goals and deadlines. Lines, that definitely would be one of them for me. And then it's this idea of this. I might just change this slightly in terms of how I describe it. And that would be, okay, now like an idiot, that's bolded. I don't want it bolded. Um, and that's the next one. And work through it like that. Okay, so you using a highlighter, you're most welcome to use that. Anyone using anything else in terms of how they're doing it? Go for it, Nath. You don't have to put your hand up.
Hi, Doc. Sorry about that.
Oh, boy.
So I'm doing this similar to what you're showing. The only difference that I have is that I'm sort of translating those specific codes that I've found in my transcripts and putting them into like a provisional sort of table with the codes and the transcript like sort of quotes and then leading to the theme. Sort of I think like what you showed us maybe about
Those initial ones. You're
2 or 3 weeks
absolutely
ago.
welcome to do it that way. So the only
Yeah.
reason I like the post-its, it gives me the freedom. So once I've got my post-it notes sorted, I would definitely go and do this here. And I'm sorry for this one here again. Um, but I would once I've got my initial, I would put them in here. Okay. But what it allows you to do, it allows you to have your codes, and you can already see that when you start putting those codes back together, you can then start creating your categories. So as you put those post-it notes on top of each other, so your individual codes we've got, you can put those in there. But unfortunately, with the way you're doing it, you can't actually manipulate it the way that you can with post-it notes. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, Doc. But I'm sort of just like provisionally sort of trying to get my bearings with the
But if you can
specific
do it
things.
that way, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you're most welcome to do it that way. But for me, the post-it notes, and and it comes from, it comes from, and in fact, it's something that went into my PhD as a new way of doing this, and it's yeah, it was actually well received. But if you can do it this way, then good luck. Absolutely fine. But I think it's going to be bloody difficult, boy. You see, if you've got
Yeah.
this cut out, you can actually start putting it on, in particular, when you want to start putting it into your categories and your themes. See, you can always just move the post-it notes on top onto each other.
Okay, I see. I
Georgia
see what you're saying.
Jades, yeah. You see, it's difficult to know what essentially will come out here. To try and combine, I mean, it potentially is possible, but yes, boy, I think, yeah, I think you're making it challenging. Or is it working for you? If it's working for you, then stay with it.
Yeah, because Doc, I actually just wanted to clarify this point with you is In terms of the themes that are supposed to emerge from this whole process of the data analysis,
Yeah.
are they not supposed to relate to the actual objectives of your thesis in the first place anyway? So
We're doing inductive research. Remember, we're doing
yeah,
inductive research. So the magic of inductive research is we don't know where, when it comes to the first order data, we are going to end up. So there are some people, and I know some campuses force their students to do deductive qualitative research, where you go and try and find ways of proving some existing theory. For me, that's not what the way we're doing it. We don't know where we'll end up. So you'll have objectives, but you'll find you have to show ultimately how these relate back to those objectives anyway. So how they relate to your research questions. So,
okay.
but again, please don't preempt it by looking and seeing whether you can fit it with what is there, because that's not the intention of induction with the
Okay.
inductive approach. Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to just to clarify that with you, Doc. Yeah, because then it might all it'll then obviously affect how I'll go ahead and carry on with the coding process. Yeah. But I mean I can sort of just from what I've been able to do, I can sort of see the themes, emerging.
Oh, very
Um
nice.
and
Very nice.
but they ultimately do relate to the objective. So it is sort of lining up. It just yeah, I just need to just maybe what's the word? Streamline the process a little bit.
Yeah. So but can I just say this is where there will be blood, sweat, and tears. This is the difficult part, without a shadow of a doubt. This is the difficult part. Um, so for me, that's the first part, and once I'm there, again, I will move it onto this here. Where is that one now? So I will move the codes into these bits together, but only once I've collated them as part of my post-it notes. So let me see if I can find that picture. Hold on a second. This might take a second or two, but I will still move it in there. But I think by the time it's moved in there, this is now moved off here. So by the time we are here, I would have this already together in terms of my categories. And once I've got the categories piled together, I can then see which themes will come out of those.
Okay, I
Georgia, again,
understand, Doc.
I don't know how you'll do it on Excel. I mean, it is possible to do it on Excel. Let me just try and find um, a picture of this. This might take a second. My apologies if I'm quiet and if I'm not reading. I've got the other side covered. Um, on. Sorry, you don't need to see all this rubbish. Might take a second. I just want to grab the. Let's move it there. Hold on. So yeah. So this is ultimately, now you'll see this was a lot more messy than what we have. But this is the dining room table after I had done the initial codes, where I've put together the so I think the reality is that you've got to account for that. So for me, the code, if I have that, would be personal preferences, as to for Cocoa Pops. different preferences. So you don't have to have each of those a code. It would just be different preferences or conflicting preferences about that particular thing. I hope that makes sense. But so this is where you end up. Now you can see my awful handwriting, etc. But that's where you sort of start off with. And then, from there, I started looking at, giving the different codes a name and things like that. And from there, piling it into the categories and into the themes. Now, you won't have this amount of information, so you might be able to put all your codes in here, but by the time you get to here, you would have piled these together already into your categories. Okay, go for it, Georgia Jad.
I think I just answered my question. I looked at the bottom of your screen there. It says, like sorry, brain fog. The two other modern methods, two folk methods, no methods, and I think that's what I'll probably do. Like, I'll note the different opinions, for example, and then my categories would be difference of opinions or something like that.
Yeah. That's it. Difference of opinions would be it possibly would be a code. I mean, if it's unlikely that it'll be a category. It's more likely to be a code.
Okay.
But again, I don't want to preempt what you have.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Okay. I hope you feel better. It's awful time to get ill. Liam, how are you going, boyo? That's a pleasure. Mihir, how's it going? Josh, how's it going? Chris, I know you're a little bit confused. We'll sort that out.
It's going good, sir.
Making
Just one
sense?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I have to reflect my findings on the coding on my interviews? So, for example, I've gone the highlighted way, so I've highlighted certain codes on my interviews, on the
Yeah. So
transcripts.
those are the codes that
Do I
you would
leave it
put in
there?
here. So you would put
So,
those in here. So we don't
uh,
need the interviews, but those codes that
yes.
you've highlighted, they would go into here. It's again,
Okay,
once
yes,
you've
I'm going to
highlighted
do
it,
that.
it's better to end up doing this thing here, writing it on a post-it note. Okay, those aren't post-it notes. But this was a lot more information.
I think I'm leaning towards that table
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, I know, no, but this becomes this. So
Yes.
this, I could never go straight there. I would have to have it on my post-it notes. And then because it becomes very difficult to combine it into the categories. In fact, you can already start seeing the codes. And then when you start piling them, you'll see that you've got your categories. Then you can put the codes in there. And then you already have your category. You would just have to label it. And then you'll see once you've got your categories together, you'll have the theme that you're looking for. I'm worried that I'm confusing you guys.
One more question: Is the
Yeah.
posted note a must?
No, not at all. If you can end up here, Boya, then that's fantastic. I think it will be blimmin' difficult to end up with categories by trying to and maybe it works for you, and maybe it'll work for Nath as well. But for me, that my brain doesn't. I have to see things unfold. Hey, I think it's bloody difficult trying to do it that way. But if it works for you, then do it that way, Boya. Can I just say, guys,
Sure.
and this was a lot of debate on a meeting recently. I want to see this as an annexure or whatever appendix, whatever they call it in the documents. Okay, I want to see this process. I don't want to see the interviews. I'm not interested in the interviews, but I want to see these transitions because for me to be able to market And remember, we cross-marking here. So your supervisor is not marking the final document, but to mark this. I don't, but it's all in the overall document. Sorry, somebody's asking me stuff on WhatsApp here. I'll talk to it. But you'll see if you look at Ariel's, she gives you this in the backdrop as an appendix. Because for me, it's my ability to see your leaps in assumptions. And if those leaps are larger, you need to just maybe give me a bit of a description. But I want this as an appendix. Okay. And then once you've got to your themes, you obviously will start discussing and describing your themes, and then you'll link the themes back to your existing literature. Now, remember, if you've ended up, and this is your question, Nathan, if you've ended up with a theme that you've not attended to in your literature review, you're going to go and look for other literature, new literature to support your finding. It's part of the sort of verification, triangulation processes. So hopefully you'll be able to link all of these here back to your literature review, but you might have to go back and find additional support for a theme that might not link to your lit review.
And Doc, just on
Yeah.
that point, I would assume then that additional like research of looking for articles that might need to address a new theme that we haven't addressed, we would have to obviously include that in the discussion for the submission. Is that correct?
No, you'll literally just, well, you wouldn't even do that. You'll just literally bring in the article and discuss, just to support that you're not that insane in your finding.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes, Doc, I got you.
So we never ever know where we end up, guys. And that's the magic of an inductive approach. We don't know what those themes are, but it's essential that we tie it back to the literature review. And if need be, you might have to go and find some peer-reviewed articles to support your findings. Yeah, and maybe this will also make a lot more sense. We are limited by the rubrics that we are given. So we're given the same rubric for quantitative and qualitative. Generally, quantitative would have a far more comprehensive literature review. Qualitative would have a far more cursory literature review because of the nature of where we end up. And then once you've got your themes, you would then build additional information and additional literature around your themes. But unfortunately, we work in terms of a rubric, so we've got to stick with what we have. Okay. Go for it, Nath. You've got it, boy. You've absolutely got it, man.
Thanks, Doc. Thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah, no, you've got it. Yeah, you've got it. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be difficult.
Yeah, needless to say, the candle is definitely burning at both ends, and I'm running out of paraffin as well.
Yeah, I actually went till 1:30 this morning because, yeah, I had some urgent marking to use.
Oh goodness. Okay.
These late nights are kicking our butts.
Oh jeez, yeah.
Cheers, boy. I have
Anyway,
a good one.
thanch, Doc. Thank you so much.
Okay. It's a pleasure. Okay. I see people typing. Anyone else, guys? Okay, so once you have your themes, your next step. Okay, so let's go to the rubric because I think, yeah. So let's start with the rubric. It's easier to explain it with the rubric. Please just give me a second. I hope I'm opening the right one. Yeah, it should be. Is this the one we're doing? Please tell me it is. Oh, and hell. Yeah. So um, I just want to go to the rubric. My apologies. Okay, so obviously this you've got from your proposal. Just remember, guys, when you move your information about the population and the sampling across and the discussion on the data collection, remember, and the data analysis, it is past tense now. So it is past tense. So all of this in preparation for your final document is now written in the past tense. Remember, as part of your proposal, it would have been in the future tense. Right. And then in terms of your presentations, okay, so at this point, you would, so those are the three, am I right? Yeah. So your presentations are there. So I would discuss, obviously, in terms of qualitative, I would have this as an annexure. You guys know what I'm going to refer to, that bit as an annexure. And then you can clearly see. You will then give us your themes and you will discuss your themes. You will then link your themes back to existing literature. Um, and so you will go and look at what is in your existing literature, and then you will see whether these have been addressed. So the best way to do it is to look at aerial stuff. Hold on. Where is hers? Sample research documents. So again, guys, it's this one that I tend to default to simply because it was done so well. And you'll see you're going to go from pages, where is that? Okay, so we're going to jump there. So we don't need that yet. But so this is what you'll have. You'll have your population discussed, and remember in past tense, your sampling discussed, your data collection discussed, okay? And tell us now what you've done. Tell us how you've done your analysis, okay? Your analysis. And then obviously, yeah, we don't worry about that part yet. And then this is the important one, how she presents her findings. So you know what comes out of your proposal. It's now just to write it as if it's completed, and this is the presentation of the findings. You don't have to do this. This is another app that she used. I'm not too worried about it. It's a verification thing for her. But you'll see. So she gives us her theme. She discusses the theme. In discussing the theme, she makes sure that she acknowledges who, what was said specifically by a particular individual. So it's important that we almost pay respect to those individuals that have contributed to the discussion. So she then has that discussion. There is the second theme. Okay, again, her description of the theme, and then just giving us an idea of the kinds of words that went into that theme. This is important, guys. So, because as a marker, I want to almost see that there's logic in terms of your interpretation, and be very selective of what you put in here. So be very selective. You will find that some of your participants are going to be a lot more resource rich. So you might, in fact, Kristen, yes, you'll copy and paste, but you've got to turn it into the past tense, hey? Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. And then, okay, so she's done all her themes, a discussion on the themes, and then she brings it into context. So this is where she now links it back to the literature in the literature review, and you'll see she starts quoting. It's a process of verifying that we are not this insane. And she then takes it into the theories. So this is what was part of a theoretical framework. So interpreting it in terms of that. Yeah, she's got it. She's you just see what she's done here. Yeah. So for me, that you might be able to combine that theory in context of the theories, and then she links it back to the literature. Okay. And that's where you'll see the stuff that you've got in your literature review. Then she addresses the questions, and essentially indicates what she's found on each of the questions and whether she's achieved the objectives. Okay. This is a hell of a submission, guys. This is a hell of a submission. Okay, so it's still about page 48. This is a rough guideline. You must decide what works best for you. And it's your, if you look at hers, it's from flipping heck. So yeah, it's from page 34 to 48. Okay. Now, if you can find a better way of consolidating the information, but we have a rubric to use. We can only follow what's in the rubric. And then the different headings that you have are these here. Yeah, those headings there. Would it be beneficial for me to create a sample, a pro forma document like I did with the other bits? A layout thing? Okay, I'll do that for you guys. I'll do a layout document. I'll do that as a matter of urgency. Okay. I'll do it as a matter of urgency. Guys, any questions? I'm worried that I've scared you, but that's maybe a good thing as well. Yeah, baby. But call and name him my real name, Chuck Norris. Okay, Chuck Norris Harris. That'll be fantastic, boy. Anyone else want or my English version of my name, Henry John Skinner? Um, anyone else, guys? Anything else? Okay, so my people that I'm supervising, we will meet this week at some point. Okay, I will find time that we'll sit together. Hopefully, you'll get more done, but we'll make this. Yeah, Chris, that's absolutely fine. That's 100% fine. Yeah, I don't want to cause headaches, but if you guys want, Josh, if you want here, you guys are most welcome to. I'm at Westville on Thursday from about 1 o'clock-ish, and I'm quite happy to take time out if you guys want to see me face to face. Yeah, I'll get the transcripts finished, eh? Okay. Guys, if there's nothing else, I'm going to say thanks very much, and I will get that document to you. It's a pleasure, guys. It's a pleasure. Okay. Please take care, everyone. Have a good evening. Yeah, sorry, I've got another class and I really want to take a break in